Hello and welcome everyone to our webinar today. My name is Ziad Paracha and I will be talking about our continuous webinar series for Office 365 with our focus today on Yammer. So before we get started, let's look at what our agenda looks like for today. We're going to talk about what Yammer actually can do for you in your organization, as well as kind of review some of the strategies for rollout that you know using some use case scenarios and where Yammer can kind of fit into your organization. And then we'll finish off with a demo. So to begin, work has actually changed. The way we work, the way we organize our teams have all changed traditionally. In fact, of the top Fortune 500 companies, the life expectancy, half a decade ago used to be around, 75 years, whereas now, recently it's 15 years or less and declining even further. That means that if you're still in the traditional form of information, where information kind of moves slowly and um, you have it's more of a control in terms of the chain of command. Information gets out towards from the C-level organization all the way to the remote workers or workers down here. Information moved very slowly, whereas now it's more of a responsive network environment that allows you to be able to interact fairly quickly, and the information therefore travels fairly quickly, and you're easier to learn and quickly adapt to those kind of environments. The network organizations at this time, of course, have the potential to, so if there's an idea, be able to, in a highly structured environment, that idea has to kind of go through a whole bunch of different people before it actually gets, implemented. And there's a whole bunch of, different interaction and approvals that have to go through. Whereas now, the idea is actually the center, and more structured organizations are actually becoming irrelevant because they're not quickly adapting to this changing marketplace where people are actually inputting spontaneously towards the idea before it gets, approved. Now, how can Yammer really get introduced into this kind of space? If you look at the social network, uh, it's integrated within Office 365. So Yammer actually comes part of your licenses for Office 365, and you're able to do a whole bunch of different things. So there's no extra cost to have this corporate social network. And the way people really like to call this is Yammer is actually the Facebook of the organization. And of course, it's a little bit more professional in the way that it's more confidential. It's still within the organization, and now you can actually share with a familiar social network that is pretty easy to kind of spur discussions, and get things done. So you are able to organize and collaborate more effectively with Yammer in the way that you can create groups and projects, or create topics, and you can have it more of an internal or an external, have different access restrictions. You can easily create groups or join an existing team or group as well. And what's really awesome about this is that you can actually share documents that are important, and it would result in an easy access of those files as you're continuing on with the conversations, and you can open the document right within Yammer as well. Now, there are obviously user knowledge across the organization. You need to be able to provide some sort of an incentive, or at least share the benefits of Yammer to be able to make sure that organizations can easily adapt onto this. And I'll kind of show you how different teams can potentially use, or different departments can potentially use Yammer for their business needs as well. So again, you can search different things and connect to different groups and people. Therefore, it's easier to collaborate and efficiently get work done. There's no rework or duplicate documents that have to be created, because all your files are already staying or being shared in Yammer as well. The benefits, of course, is there's going to be increased innovation and increased creativity. People are able to share their ideas and brainstorm quicker than, for example, an email where you have to kind of go back and forth, and it gets quite repetitive. It also reduces, like I mentioned, the rework and duplication of that, and essentially moves projects quickly, because you're able to get faster information, you're able to get the knowledge and faster, and therefore have quicker decisions being made. So a typical thread, so if you could share it to all company, that would be the group, and everyone in that organization can comment. What's really cool in this slide is that it shows you the different locations that people can actually respond from. I mean, you could respond from anywhere in the world, and that's, I guess, the key point here is that you don't have to go through a chain of command. Everyone can kind of, VPs can be in on this, and project managers can be in on this, and a whole bunch of different people who need to be involved in that discussion can be in that same thread, right? And so it makes it a lot easier to become end up solving your problems at the end of the day. Now, what's really important when you set up your Yammer is that only 20% is actually the technology. So I've seen organizations say, well, Yammer doesn't work for us, and really it's because you're focusing more on the technology and relying on that, whereas you should be focusing more on the culture. So, setting up your logo, for instance, having a policy, writing welcome messages or onboarding, some of that stuff. So that's all kind of technology focused. Whereas what you really want to focus on is the community management, how changing your culture to be able to involve yourself in that quick responsive kind of marketplace. And that's, I think, where a lot of companies actually fail to understand how Yammer can help. So like I mentioned, there's some use cases. So let's say, for example, you are in the HR department. Well, you can reduce costs and initial training cycles for new employees because Yammer can actually do some of that onboarding as well as, share, if you're involved the new employee, for example, into a Yammer group that has all the company or at least their teams, they can actually get caught up on all of their um, the required documents that they need, for example, or access to some resources that are already in the organization that they can tap into as well. So, for example, in sales, you can maximize sales team effectiveness because of the account insight. For example, you can have more enhanced information uh, on Yammer that would be able to help sales teams, for example, effectively do their job, and so on and so forth. There's lots of different cases that people can use to get kind of that work done. Excuse me. So what I think is really important before we go into the demo is to really essentially draft your vision. And I cannot stress this enough because many organizations don't know why they want Yammer. So if you want to roll out Yammer, for example, this would just be a sample of some of the things that Yammer can do for you. For instance, help teams collaborate more effectively and new team members ramp up quickly, right? That could be a good kind of vision for your organization to utilize Yammer, amongst other things. And you can use that, right? Reduce the email volume by communication via Yammer rather than Outlook or any other form of email, right? And so what it really provides for the end users, of course, is it provides a social workplace and collaboration for people to actually go through and create and manage different kind of groups through IT and without the need for going through IT, right? So I would focus on what's in it for the organization, what your vision is to get that, and then roll out from there towards having that culture, right? So let's dive into that demo here for us today, and then we can kind of look into what Yammer can really do for you at that time. So give me 1 second. So if you go into your Office portal, you'll see kind of Yammer being a part of your licensing. If you don't have licensing, you can reach out to me and I can kind of help out in getting that for you. And if you don't see Yammer as any of these new icons that are there, it's right here. But if you don't see it there, you can actually click all your apps and you'd be able to see it. So I've already preloaded Yammer here for you, and this is kind of the interface. Now, what's cool here to understand is that if you look at all the apps and applications, you can actually work seamlessly into the integrated workforce here, and go back and forth, bounce back and forth between all of these kind of applications and services as well. So just as a quick kind of run through as to what Yammer kind of looks like. This is your home icon where you can kind of see all sorts of different groups that are teams that are created. For example, sales and marketing, you have the production line, you have employee advocacy, finance, right? And you can have all sorts of these groups that are created, as well as all companies. So every single person that works in that company is already, a part of this group on Yammer. And of course, you can view all your groups and create new groups as well. Then you have the next icon here, the mail. All right, if you click on that, you can see all sorts of your messages in the inbox. So any unread messages that are concerning you, for example, there's 8 new messages in one of the groups you can look at. So for example, Patty Fernandez kind of praised me. I can take a look at where that kind of is and just click on it. It'll take me to that conversation that was there. Now, keep in mind here as well, one of the features here is you can actually create that culture by praising one another, right? And I can kind of show you how you do that as well and create those sort of messages to kind of, instill a more positive culture where people are appreciating one another's efforts and success. Now, you can go into various teams, for example, the production line, for example. You could see all the new conversations there as well, all sorts of conversations that have happened in the past, as well as all the files that have been shared as well. So these are conversations. And then if you look at the files tab here, you can actually see all the files that have been shared as well. So there's inventory, there's all these different files in different types. So you can have JPEG, you can have docs, you can have Excel, you can have a whole bunch of different files there as well. So within this production line, for instance, I can actually upload or create a new folder, for instance, or new document from Yammer within itself, right? And upload documents as well and be shared um, here. What's really cool here as well is you can see who last updated that document and when that update was. So you can keep track of all of the different versions that have kind of come through, or all the edits that have happened without having multiple versions here. That essentially creates more confusion. There's also a really powerful search bar here that can actually search various things for you. For instance, if you want to look at, for example, inventory, right, it will search up all the things that are in inventory. If you noticed that production line had that inventory image, I can actually preview, download, or to go to that file right away, right? You can also take a look at other things that are here as well, and you can if it's really powerful, you can search it within all of your groups and be able to find that information much quicker. And then, of course, you've got the notification tab, which kind of looks through all of the things again that have happened within your groups that you've created, that you've been a part of, and you could see all sorts of different notifications that are there. Now, what's really cool here is it looks very similar to how Facebook actually is, or other kind of user interfaces is very friendly, right? And it's easier to kind of get used to this kind of environment. Now, of course, you can also create new groups here as well. It has this plus sign right here. It says create a new group, and you can create a new group and add whoever you want, internal or external, make it private or public, and so on and so forth. Now, the sales and marketing one, let's take a look at that. So update, you can have an update status kind of thing where you can actually link different teams. For example, sales and marketing can be here, but you can also tag different people, right? So for example, Isaiah, I want him to be part of this, and I can actually add different teams as well, more than one team here as well. Now, an update is more of just like a post. It's an update post that you're kind of putting on the wall, and everyone that's a part of this or has been tagged in here can be a part of that. You can also do a poll. So, for example, we can say, hey, should we do this or should we do something like that? We can have a question for the entire company, for example, a poll. What should we get for lunch Tuesday, right? As a corporate lunch or whatever, you can have different answers, right? You can have pizza, right? And you can change as you need, right? Um, and of course, people can then, of course, answer those kind of questions, and you'd be able to see who's responded what and be able to go with that. So I can say, for example, pizza, that's what I want. We update that, and I took my vote. And of course, anyone else who would vote can tell us what that looks like. So as well as praise. So that's what I was showing you guys earlier. So you can praise one another. You can also change the icons here to be able to kind of So for example, the diamond. Who do you want to praise? Again, Isaiah. Great sale or whatever, right? And you post that, and of course, everyone in that kind of group can be able to see all the work that Isaiah has done there as well. You can also do an announcement, so general announcement. So these could be company updates. These could be things that are regarding that particular group that you want to kind of get across to everyone. Instead of sending an email that kind of sends to everyone, you can have and then everyone has to reply all. You can have an update or an announcement right there, and it's easier for everyone to kind of get updated on new things that are happening. Now you'll notice on the bottom here, there's actually GIFs that you can have as well. There's, you can select files from SharePoint, you can have files coming from Yammer, or you can upload your own files as well. And all of these things you can do, you can add on to any of these kind of status updates, right? Now, if you look over here, you can actually see all the members. So there's 11 members that are joined in this group. You can add more members as needed. So for example, you can go here, you can actually change the settings. So this is the marketing manager. You can actually make them in. You can or remove them from the group as well. If they're no longer required in that group or project, you could do that. So now you can see here this is an admin person already, and be able to, so because I am in that group, I can actually change that setting. Now not everyone can change that setting as well, but of course that all depends on how you are going to be administering that as well. You can invite other people, right? So from there you could have write the name right here. You can invite other people that you want on the team, right? And that would usually typically search, people that are in your group or in that email. You can search by name, or you can just send the write the email, and then they could be part of this team as well, right? So pretty cool, kind of ways that you could do that. Of course, you can change up the interface as well. So for example, and you can have these on apps as well, right? So you can have this on your phone, you can have this on the internet, or you can even use that as an app that you download into your desktop screen as well. Okay, so here is, for example, you can change the image or colors, right? You can make it a little bit more aesthetically appealing, and all that is kind of up to you. You can upload new pictures as you please, and save changes and so on. Now here's where I was telling you about the conversation. So whoever can kind of see that, you can have that as a public, so people can actually join those corner networks and see all those conversations, or you can have a private access where only members that are actually part of that group can see that. Right? You can also create private messages from here as well. So let's say I want to send a private message or post in a particular group. I can select the group here, for example, all company, and post a status, or I can send a private message to whoever I would want to, for example, Miriam, and I can send her a quick message right up from there, and she will be able to update that. And again, you can upload files and other things as well if you want to send a private message, right? So really, really cool things here that you can use. We can just kind of get out of that here. Now, if you want to, for example, and of course your conversations and private messages get tracked here, so it's easier to kind of go into that conversation and be able to view all the messages that are there as well. Well, let's go really quickly into the view all groups. You can see all these kind of teams that have been created. You could discover more groups that have been created that you're not a part of, as well as create a group yourself for anything that you would like. So it could be an internal group where only your company is allowed to be a part of, or it could be an external group, right, where you can collaborate with other people from other companies or your projects or anything like that, right? Simply put in a group name, add a couple members to it, and choose your restriction, whether it's public or private. Click group, create group, and now you've got a team to work with. So fairly easy to kind of work with. Again, here is, for example, my settings, for my personal user settings, and I could do, a whole bunch of different things from here as well, like create a network from there instead of having to go from here. Look at all the apps or files that have been uploaded, all the people that I'm involved with, and so on and so forth, right? So if you look at here, it actually still in Yammer. You can see all the recently accessed files, images, videos, right? Anything else that I have actually looked into, which as you can see, I've not looked at anything. But if I was to, then I would be able to see that here. And all the different things in all the groups that I am part of. So for example, marketing campaigns, if I click that, right, there are no documents in this one. But let's look at all company, for example. You could look at, uh, apparently there's no files that have been uploaded, right? And you can take a look at all the files that you've uploaded here. And of course, upload a file as needed as well, right? Fantastic. Now, of course, these projects and teams can be kind of integrated with, for example, in Microsoft Teams or SharePoint, and you can kind of back all of these files up from here as well to a cloud storage space, and all that is available for you to do as well. If there are any questions at this time, I would kind of invite you to write it down, and I can answer it at this time. That kind of concludes my presentation for today and what I wanted to show you. If there are anyone who wants to contact me regarding any sorts of training or in-depth training on Yammer, or how you can kind of deploy Yammer at your organization and what are best practices, feel free to reach out to me or connect with me here, and I can do that as well. So if there are any questions, let me know. I'd love to be able to answer that at this time. I guess there isn't. Thank you so very much for everyone for joining. If there is, again, any sort of questions that come about, feel free to reach out to me, and I would love to be able to help you guys out in doing that. Thank you so very much, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.